Okay, so this is a very croaky, sicky sounding game of Dom. Welcome back to my chalet. I've just made a new purchase. This is some beauty. This is the tier 10 Chinese medium, the 121. I ground my way through the WZ120, this fella. Let's have a look on the tree. It's easier to see. So yeah, you can see the Chinese line is a fairly straightforward one. You get to the type 34, which I liked, and then you have two ways to go. You can either go up around the light line, or you come through the medium, which then splits to heavy and also to mediums again. My main route was up through this one. I came through the 5916, which is a fun little tank, WZ131, which I love, WZ132, which I also love. I did sell it, rebought it, not doing quite so well since I rebought it, but anyway, I still enjoy it. The WZ120, which is effectively the Chinese copy of the T54 on the Russian line at tier 9. I've got both. The main difference between the two is the Chinese variant has a much bigger gun and much worse gun depression. It's also not quite such good armour as the Russian version. However, I prefer it. Don't know why. I do. I like the boom boom on it. So anyway, I've worked my way through. I've just literally unlocked this little beauty. So let's see what it says about this thing, because I know nothing about it. Developed in 1962, a new Type 59. Okay. Project was cancelled, so it never happened, this tank. And they used them as nuclear testing. Whereas were the prototypes that were developed. Oh well. So anyway, let's have a look at it in garage and let's get it equipped and everything else. Oh dear, this cold is really getting me down. So this is it. 1,950 hit points, which is quite reasonable. Let me have a look. I've got the SDB1, which is exactly the same. So, so that looks like a pretty good hit point pool. Weight is around 40 tons, which isn't huge actually. Has an engine of 580 and a top speed of 56. Now, what I've read about this, it's a little sluggish to get away, but once it is underway, it's got good speed. So we'll see what that's like. 50 traverse though, that's very, very impressive. Let's look at the SDB1 as comparison. The SDB1's got higher top speed, higher traverse speed, but not by much, and an engine power that's considerably higher. So yeah, looking at those numbers, I would fully expect that the 121 is a little bit more sluggish than the Japanese version. Hull armour is 120 at the front. It's very well angled though, very well angled. Again, what I've read of this is that if you angle it right against lower tier tanks, you'll bounce against the big boys at tier 10. Not so much chance, but you might still, if they aim for that. But really the strength of this thing is in its turret. 240 armour, and it's very well rounded, as you can see. Very well indeed. Now, I'm led to believe the cheeks are a little bit weak, so if you're not careful, they can be penned. So I'm assuming it's one of these armour models where it's strongest here and it gets slightly weaker as it goes out around the turret, which it seems to be the way they do it now with the modelling, which is probably more realistic and good. So even the turret sides are 130, which again is not bad. They're very well rounded. It's not a big turret. It's 60 at the rear. The hull side is 130. None of the magic spaced armour that the Russian tanks will get, which is a shame, but whatever. You know, for a medium. So view range is base of 400. Which is pretty good. And again, I'm led to believe from what I've read, and you know, guys, thoroughly recommend, if you're working down a line, go and research what the tanks are like. Look at people's videos, look at the wiki site, look at whatever, just research what they're like and just see whether you think it's going to be worth the credits to get to this. Because this thing cost something like 70,000 XP to get to. No, more than that, must have been more than that. I forget now, I've just literally clicked the button, so I should remember, but I've got a heavy cold, so 180,000 research cost, which is a lot of battles to get to that. And even now with a 15% reduction, because it's that time of year when they do the discounts on the tier 8 to 10s, it's still costing me just over 5 million credits to buy this tank. And that's a lot of money to spend on a tank that just sits in the garage and don't use. Now, I've been guilty of that, I fully admit. I went down my first, and up till this Christmas, my only tier 10 was the Object 268 here, the Russian tier 10 tank destroyer, and I love that entire line. Excuse me. And I particularly like the Object 704, which was the tier 9 variant. You see I've kept it. But then I moved on to the 268, and you can see my win rate is not very good. 54%, and I've really struggled, and I have to say that's actually gone up in recent games. I've only played nearly 70 games in it because I don't enjoy playing it, and I should have researched it better, and maybe stopped at the 704, use my credits elsewhere. But you live and learn, and my learning from that was to only work down lines that I really think I'm going to enjoy. And if you get to a tank where you really enjoy it and you read about the next one you're not sure you will, stop for a bit, don't carry on. I did the same with the Japanese line. I got the Type 61, the tier 9, which I absolutely loved. Still love playing. I've kept it, moved the crew through, but I've got a new crew in there. And then this thing, the STB1, which I really enjoy. I'm just finding it a little bit, I've only played 20 games in it. I only got it just before Christmas. I haven't played that much in it because I've been grinding other things and earning credits so I can unlock this other tier 10. But it's taking a little bit of getting used to. And tier 10s are very different, even compared to 9s. They are a very different playstyle. And they take a bit getting used to, but I do like that tank, so I'm not disappointed I unlocked it. So anyway, where were we? So let's look back at this 251. 251. Oh, my brain! I am so full of cold. It's terrible. The 121. So we were talking about view range. It's supposed to have very, very good camo rating. That's what I read. So it's good concealment tank, which is good. So I think hull down seems to be the order of the day. Using concealment if you can seems to be the order of the day. It's got good hit points, reasonable acceleration, not brilliant. Now it's supposed to have one of the biggest and most damaging guns on any medium in the game, which is this 122mm. Has a pretty impressive 6.25 rounds per minute shot ratio, but which is pretty good, and that's a lot of shots per minute for a big gun. Standard penetration, and interesting, it only has AP as its standard ammo. Most tanks at tier 10 seem to have APCR as their standard ammo. This one doesn't. It has 258 as penetration, but 440 damage, so that's pretty good. 258 seems a little low, maybe. Let's have a look back at the STB, because that's got a massive gun on it. Okay, exactly the same. So, okay, so there you go. So it's not that bad a gun at all. If you look at the Japanese STB1, it's got a slightly faster rate of fire, identical penetration with a standard ammo, in this case APCR. Slightly less average damage on the Japanese variant compared to the Chinese one, so that's good. The 121 fires heat as its premium and has a very impressive 340 damage, again 440 average damage. The Japanese variant has 330, so it's just 10 millimeters less, and 390, so again the same as its standard round. Where the 122 wins out, it's on its HE shell, 68 penetration and 530 average damage. 68 is pretty good, pretty good indeed. So if you look at what's the turret, yeah, if you look at the turret armour, rear armour, and even the side armour of the STB-1, that's 68 will penetrate easily. So that's all good and dandy. So dispersion, it's marginally better actually on the bigger gun, which is very surprising. This Japanese rifle gun is pretty accurate over distance, so that's pretty worrying. Now where it does look weak, and it's a typical thing with these 122 and big caliber guns, the aiming time 2.7 is pretty horrible. The Japanese one is only 2.3, and the weight difference, look at that. So everything is pointing to the fact that this 121, and everything I've read, is slightly slower, has a good gun, not the most accurate in the world, but a good gun nonetheless. So let's take a pause. I'll get this ready for some battles and let's see what we do. So there we are, the 121 dressed for battle, put the camo on it. I had a crew, again, tip for you guys if you haven't already done it, and you know, forgive me if I'm telling you how to suck eggs here, but have a crew ready. Have a crew ready. If you're not planning to sell the old tank that this came from, so I'm keeping the WZ-120, I like it so much and I want to hold on to it, so the crew in that I'm keeping in that tank, even though it's an extremely good all-girl crew. I'm keeping hold of it. So I knew that I was going to need a crew for the 121. I had already kept hold of my T-34-1, which I quite enjoy playing, and so I made sure that there was a good crew in that. I've run that through, been using them to get extra training in my premiums, and so the crew that I've put in here is actually a pretty darn good one. Because there's nothing worse than having a top tier tank and your crew's only sort of 100% crew. Seems like a waste of cash, frankly. So that's what I've done. I have got another crew. I won't show it now because it'll change move all the settings around and everything else, but I have got another crew. Where is it now? I was in my T-34-3, so I'm training it in the pattern and the 34-3, which I now will put back into the T-34-1, and they're about halfway through their first skill, so they're not fantastic, but they're okay. But it does mean now for the 121 I've got this pretty good crew ready to go. Equipment wise, I've gone for rammer, of course, vertical stabilizers, because that helps so much with accuracy, moving and target when you're moving your turret, and gun lane drive, because that aim time looks pretty horrible. So loadout so far I've gone for 26 rounds of AP, 9 of heat and 5 of HE. We'll see how that pans out as we play the game. According to the engine, it's only a 12% chance of fire, famous last words, so I've taken extra combat rations because of the help that gives. 10% extra crew bonus, which has got to be good. Large first aid kit, as much as anything else, because of the fact it gives you a 15% protection against crew injury rather than anything else. And I've got a few kicking around in my garage, and small repair kit. I don't know, I might change that to large. We'll see how prone it is to module damage as we go. So there we go. I guess the only other option you could have done here is, because the view range is pretty good, you could have put coated optics or something like that on, but I think that gun aim time is too important to neglect, so I've taken it that way. I've also got a good crew on this, so My view range is, base view range is 435, which is pretty good. So let's go and see what we can do with it. Okay, let's try that again. The dangers of trying to do a video Saturday morning when the house is chaos and everyone's running around like lunatics. My daughter rushed in right in the middle of that recording, and it was a horrible game anyway, so we lost and I didn't do anything. So let's try a second game. We've got Cliff. It's a bit heavier tier 10 this time. My last tier 10 had three tier 10s, so it's a shame we didn't get a game out of it, but I missed my first 2 shots and then was slammed by Artie. Really good game, so I didn't put that one on, particularly because my daughter interrupted. She's very excited, she's going climbing today. She normally swims. She is a swimmer, competitive swimmer. But as sort of a light relief, she goes climbing. So it's very exciting. So it's new climbing season. Yeah. So that's what I'll be doing in about an hour's time, taking her climbing. So here we go. We're off and running. Yeah, I don't think this is too sluggish at all. Not a bad speed. It's not lightning fast, but you know, we're at 50 odd. Now we're going up the hill. Oh, we're having glitches with the recording. Great. Goes again, I might have to turn the recording off. Bad enough playing a new tank that you don't really understand and then have to deal with the screen glitching all the time. Ooh. No excuse for that, it's just appalling driving. So I've got no gun depression, which is a real downer on this tank. I'm going to see whether we can just use the speed get across here without taking any hits. Took a put shot, but there was no chance of hitting anything there. Ooh. Who spotted us? I don't know. And I missed the bulldog. 440, nice. Reload and let's have another go at him. You want some, mister? Didn't like that so much, did you, buddy? So that's hardly showing this tank off properly, just killing a couple of defensive lights, even if they did hit me. So the gun depression is a problem here, I can see. And we just bounced the T-30. Bounced firing at the T-30, which is not ideal. Oh. That's better. Not taking shots from that. We're going to have to pull back because that object has got a hard-on with us. Ooh, behind us. Away from his gun. So the mobility is not bad. The biggest problem is I can't get my gun down on him. This didn't really bounce in, so that's good. So let's use our mobility here. Let's try to push us off the cliff. Probably got it. Oh, I've slid off the cliff now. So I have to say I'm quite enjoying this. This is a nice tank. Gun's not OP, but it's got enough mobility to be tricky, to be a handful for anybody. Conway down there, but I don't think I can see him. Let's see if we can spot anything around here. Come around the corner a little bit carefully. Biggest issue? Gun depression. That's the biggest issue we've got here. Didn't get spotted, didn't spot anything. But there is an E100 down there, and there is a... Let's get down here, okay. Yeah, look at that gun depression. That's not good. We did do a bit of damage there, which is good. So we've had a good game, nearly 4,000 damage. We can get another hit on that. Get a shot. Okay, let's go and give some. Let's give some joy in the Chinese way. Nice to get 4,000 hit on the first, 4,000 damage on the first real game I've had. That would be really nice. So what we can do, I think he's facing the other way, so that's good. Good game. Good game. So I'm impressed with that. I think it looks to be a really good fun tank. Enough mobility to get round flanks and rears, you know, that 28 prototype. We just made him look stupid, really. We took a couple of unnecessary hits from the Object 140, which was a shame. But it's a third class mastery. Back to normal, what's that? This is a new promotion. Okay, ×2 if you're in the top 10. Okay. We were 4th on XP, 2nd on damage. Well, we were a tier 10, so you would hope that. We did 13 shots, hit with 11 of them, penetrated with 10. So yeah, we're around about that 400 average damage, 410 average we did in that battle, which is very nice. We took 8 hits, bounced 3 of them. Bounced 1200 damage, which was quite good. I know there was one early on, the T30. I think we bounced a shot off. Can't remember the others, but oh, we did of the 28 prototype, because all he had was the turret, and the turret on this thing is so flipping heavy. Yeah. Oh, and a waffle. Oh, there wasn't the T28. Oh no. Yeah, there we go. So we blocked him. Oh well, whatever. What else did we do? So nice 62,000 credits, even after all the expenses, and the shells are pretty expensive on this. We still made 30,000 because we didn't die, and I think that's the key in a tier 9 tin game. If you die, your rebuild costs plus your ammo costs are pretty high. If you do a reasonable amount of damage, you'll break even. Actually, how much are they? Oh, look at that in a minute. 3,500 experience, because it was my first one of the day. So that's good. Let's have a look at the shell costs. Yeah, so the standard rounds are just over 1,000 a pop. The heat are nearly 5,000 a pop. That's a lot of money, a lot of gold. So I might just swap that out, since I've got repair kits, put a large one in. But you know what, I like that. That's really good fun. Really good fun. So 2 games. First one was a disaster, but it was more the team and circumstance than anything else, whereas that one was a far better game. And I think we played it quite well. Let's try again, see what we can do. Pushing our luck, really. Brand new tack and going out twice. 3 times even. But you know, you've got to play them, you've got to learn them, you've got to work out what works with them, what doesn't. I'm quite familiar with the WZ120. I've played 150 odd games in it, and this plays very similarly. So you've got a little bit of turret armour. WZ120 has some good turret armour. It's got a bit of mobility like this does, terrible gun depression like this does, and a big boomstick like this does. So it's some of the tanks are not actually identical, not very similar as they move through, as you move through the tiers. These two on my first two games anyway. So caveat, my first two games, they appear to be very similar, the 9 and the 10, which makes playstyle a lot easier to do because you should play it pretty much the same way as you did in the previous one. I think that's what I found in the... oh, blimey, on there. That's what I found with the other one, that I was talking about. I've got no gun depression here, which is a bit of a bummer. I'd like to get on that 62 because I can wreck him. Just pulled back just as I fired, which is a real shame. I don't get spotted, so that's good. So we can get that. He seems to be keen to come forward. Missed it. Oh, my reactions this morning are not great. I blame the cold. Oh, there's an E. That's a Holden Kettlefish. Panzer E100 down there. Is that down there? Yeah, it is. Oh, the shooting is dreadful. I'm blaming the cold. I need drugs. Don't that time. Interesting, I bounced all the shots that come my way. Which does show the... I'm never going to pen the ELC, the 50 at that angle. What am I talking about? I'm just hallucinating. Oh my goodness, I just took a massive hit. That was not clever. I don't like that game. It's not nice. We're getting rather overrun here. Missed him again. My shooting has been awful. That's better. It's on fire. Ah, where did... oh look, that was a kill shot possible there. What did I do? I fluffed the shot. Yes, got him. A bit cocky there, I think. Pushing ahead. Oh, I love those cheery people who say things like that. Get cancer. Lovely. They should be banned instantly. There should be an instant ban. People like those. Oh, great. Oh dear. That wasn't so good. Roll out in front of a Panzer E100. Jack Panzer E100. He hit me twice in that game. That was the only damage I took, and that was enough. I bounced everything else. The 430 hit me twice, and I bounced both of those. That wasn't the best play by me. I assumed he was still down the bottom. Oh, and look, he ammo racked me, just for measure. Not that his gun needs to worry about that, it could do that on its own anyway. So, yeah, not the best game. But we're learning. And you know what? I think I'm really going to enjoy this tank. I think because, as I say, it just matches the WZ-120 very much in playstyle. And I quite like the WZ-120. Oh, bye-bye, mister. Got no hoe up the arse, it's not nice. So I think we might actually win this game by the look of it. It's not certain, you can never tell in these matches. And some of our tanks are on pretty low health, but that Jack Panzer E100 up there is a bit of a problem. Can we hit him with the OHO? No, you can't hit him. That's a really tough shot for this Oho. It's long range, and his gun is not very good at long range, from what I recall. Oh, he hit him that time. Must be firing HE though. 184 damage, that's not much. Got 3 in the cap. There's only 4 left on there, so I wish he wouldn't come out quite so flat on. Yeah, that's better. Mind you, not that's going to matter if that Jagdpanzer E100 decides he wants to shoot him, he'll die. Oh, but he's just fired at our E100, so that's good. Missed. Oh no, he hit him that time, did he hit him? Yeah, 360. So if I can keep myself hidden, we've won this. Oh, there's a light tank down here. But he's run away. That's a stupid mistake. Why has he done that? That's given us the game. That T49 should have, even if it sacrificed himself, gone and put a shot in on one of the tanks in the cap just to reset that, and he didn't appear to. So he survived, but he died, but he lost the game. So go figure. So not a great game for me. Just over 1,000 damage, 1 kill, 528. We lost credits. Unless you have a really monster game in these things, you lose credits. Simple as that. Fired 8 shots, 3 hits, 3 penetrations. Not the most. We missed so many early games. I don't know what was going on there. I just seemed to have nervous twitch, but whatever. Again, the average 400 damage, which is good. Bounce 2 shots of the object, 430. Excuse me. Yeah, so not a great game, but do you know, I don't care. I think I'm going to enjoy this tank. I'm really impressed. That's 3 games I've played. I've won 2 of them. One I was just completely annihilated in the first few seconds, and that happens. Welcome to the world of tanks and artillery and everything else. Funny enough, having said I don't think I'll take a fire extinguisher that first game, I was hit by RT and what happened, I got set on fire. But I think that was just a vagary. We'll see, we'll see. So we may take the combat rations out. I haven't got that many in my store. Only 2 left by the look of it, so we'll see. But anyway, that's the Chinese tier 10 medium, the 121. I'm impressed so far. I think it looks really good fun. Reasonable armour, good enough engine. I read some reviews about it being sluggish. I don't see that myself. It's certainly no, this thing, which is its predecessor, is pretty much the same sort of feel. They feel very similar as tanks, and actually they're pretty much the same, just the 121 is a bit longer. The turrets look almost identical. So anyway, 121, tier 10 Chinese medium. Very nice tank. Thoroughly recommend that. Good gun when you don't get the twitches trying to fire. Yeah, really impressed. So this has been Gamer Dom. Hope you enjoyed that. Let me know if you did down below, and please click like and subscribe. Hopefully you haven't caught my horrible cold. And in the meantime, have a great few games out there. Enjoy yourselves. Remember, it is only a game. Yeah, it is a game. Sometimes it feels very personal, but it's not. It's just a game. And enjoy yourselves. Be careful out there.